Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm filming another video as part of my back to school series, and this one is kind of my experience with sorority recruitment and some tips for you guys. I was thinking about doing a pros or cons, but I feel like this one this style video would just be better to say also yeah, I'm dog sitting right now, so Annie's here and she doesn't like to leave me alone, so she might be walking around in this video. So I go to Duke, and our sorority recruitment is a little different than everyone else's, mostly because we actually do recruitment in the spring. So, or technically it's winter, but we do semesters, so it'd be spring. So our recruitment is actually in January when we get back for the second semester. So if you're a freshman, you don't get to be part of a sorority until your second semester of college. It has its positives and negatives. You do get to make your own friends at the beginning and not just only know people in your sorority. It kind of sets up the foundation for dirty rushing, which is basically when sororities kind of recruit their class before recruitment begins, which is not allowed. I mean, that could happen at state schools too, or when you do recruitment at the beginning, because you may have known people from high school. So first, I'm just going to talk about my experience and just some general things of what to expect and how it works, and how sororities are choosing you and how you're choosing them. So I think that part's pretty informative. And then I'm going to give you some tips. So stay tuned for the tips. I'll put the time card in the description for if you just want to skip to the tips, if you don't care about my experience, because I don't know, I'm just trying to make this video easy for you guys. So this might be kind of long, but it will be informative, so stay tuned. So I'm not gonna lie, sorority recruitment was pretty rough for me. I didn't really realize what had happened this semester before with all the dirty rushing that was going on, which does happen a lot, especially for the top sororities, which is also BS. Don't rank your sororities. It's there's just different peoples of different interests in every sorority. So basically I came to Duke without really knowing anyone in any sorority, because no one from my high school had gone there really, except for maybe a few people, but I wasn't really close to them or anything. So I kind of came into recruitment already having 3 to 4 sororities off my list completely because of the dirty rushing that had went on. I hadn't made connections with those sororities in the semester before, so basically there was no way for me to ever join that sorority. That's kind of how it is for these though. Maybe there's a few exceptions, but for me, and for my friends, that's how it was. So we have 10 sororities at Duke, and how it goes is your first day, so there are 4 rounds of recruitment. Your first day, you have all 10 sororities, and you go to all of them. Super exhausting. And then you're supposed to have 8, and then you have 5, and then you have 3. Now we only have 2 in the final round because no one wants to get their third choice, which it does happen, but not really often. So basically, you visit every single one of the houses on the first day, and when you walk in, they're all chanting or singing some weird song thing, and then you'll talk to 3 to 4 girls, and they're pretty much all kind of the same surface level conversations. As for me doing the recruiting, my sophomore and junior year, we kind of learn things to ask. So I kind of just ask the same questions to every girl unless I really have a connection with them. And when you do have an actual in-depth personal conversation, that's when you know that that sorority might be for you more, because you're okay, I can actually talk to these people and how we have some similar interests and that kind of thing. So that's definitely something I wrote down when I was doing recruitment. My freshman year, if I had a connection with a sorority, I was had a really great conversation with this girl, talked about this. So your first day can be up to 8 hours of talking, and you have to talk really loud because everyone in the room is talking, so you have to talk over them. So basically you just lose your voice, and it's really bad, especially if you're sick. So it's just kind of awful. So for me, so you're supposed to only get cut from 2 sororities from the first round to the second round, and I got cut from 5. So I literally went from 10 sororities to 5 sororities, and I know very few other people who had this happen to them. I literally don't know what I did. I was just trying to be myself during sorority recruitment, and apparently 5 of them didn't like me, but it ended up working out in the end. I like the sorority I'm in, but it was just definitely hurtful. No matter who you are in recruitment, or you're going to experience rejection at some point, so you just need to be prepared for that. Even if you're that girl who did get like dirty rushed and like, you know, you have connections in all the sororities, you're gonna get cut from at least one, and it's probably gonna hurt. Even if you didn't care about that one, it's probably gonna hurt. So you just like need to be prepared for like the fact that you're gonna get rejected from a sorority. So basically how it works for the selection process is you write down, as the like recruited person, or I guess we call them PNMs, like potential new members. So as a PNM, you write down you rank every sorority that you went to that day on a scale of 1 to 10. And then the bottom two, for the first day at least, are the ones that you would like to drop or like to not go back to. And how it works on the sororities end is, like, I'm not saying this is my sorority specifically, but I've talked to like my other friends in other sororities that you're not supposed to talk about it, but everyone does. And what you do is that you either rank each girl you talk to on a scale of 1 to 5 or 1 to 10, and there are also like specific things you rank them on, like do you think they fit in with the sorority, like their personality, just like a few different traits, not appearance. That is not supposed to be a factor. But yeah, so, and some sororities, like, you know, the ranking will just take care of it, and a computer does a mutual selection process. It's like, you know, you didn't make it in the top like half of this sorority, so you're out even if you wanted them. It's kind of strange, but some sororities will go through every girl that has been dropped, and every girl that's dropped, they will all talk about it and make sure they actually want to drop that girl. But that gets complicated because if you don't end up dropping her, then someone else that like got better ranked will then have to get dropped. So it's all like kind of confusing, but basically you're getting ranked by all these girls, and I don't know, in my case, like your opinion should matter on the sororities. But in my case, every single round I was in, I got dropped from like the ones I like thought I wanted. So my opinions didn't matter at all. Like the two I wanted to drop that I didn't really click with, I kept coming back to because the other sororities that I did like would keep dropping me. This is like kind of weird, guys. Like I wouldn't say like this is gonna happen to you, but it's definitely a possibility. So, and like rejection is real. So at Duke and probably at some other schools, you're guaranteed a bid if you maximize your options. And what maximizing your options means is every time you have to rank your sororities, you rank every single one you went back to. So you can, if you really hated a sorority and you like would never want to bid from them, you can just like not put them on the list and you won't be called back to them. But then at the end, you're not guaranteed a bid. But like, would you want a bid from a sorority that like you really don't want anyway? So it's like, it's kind of complicated, but I did maximize my options and I did end up in a sorority. It wasn't my top choice. I didn't like dislike it. So, and then you get to Pref night. And Pref night's really hard because at least for my year, it changed the next year. They put literally everyone in a room and they give everyone a letter. And like, that's your bid offer. And everyone opens them at the same time. So like literally half of the people are screaming like, oh my gosh, like because they got the sorority they wanted. And then like a good amount of the girls are like crying because like they don't have the sorority they wanted. And like for me, like it was just really hard to hear all these people really excited about what they got, because like when I opened mine, it wasn't the sorority that I prefed. And I just was like, my heart just dropped, and I was like, oh my god, like everyone's so excited, and like I have to pretend I'm really excited and happy, and I like was crying a little bit, but like I wouldn't let anyone see that. I was like, like trying to be happy, and it was just like, it was really rough. Like they changed how Pref night works, because like that clearly wasn't working. They actually put everyone in the same sorority in a different room now. And then they like open their bids and like they're all in the same sorority, so like you kind of get to be together. And I think that's a much better method, because mine was like an absolute mess. Like I would not recommend that, like putting everyone in the same room. It was just awful. So that's not, but like if you do get the sorority that you pref, which is like how it works most of the time, it's like really exciting, and you know, you get to go like have bid night with like all your new sisters, and it's just a really like happy experience. I ended up having a great time on my bid night. I like, one of my like really good friends ended up being in my sorority, and I was like, okay, like this isn't gonna be so bad. So overall, recruitment is like a lot. It's definitely a lot of rejection, and at least like if you are like a normal person who didn't really like do the whole dirty rushing thing and like knew which sorority you were going to, before it even started. Like my sorority has ended up being a great experience for me. Like one of my really close friends is in it. We weren't that close before we joined the same sorority, and then like we got a lot closer. I've met so many like amazing people. Like I used to actually be pre-med, and then I met some girls who were pre-dental in my sorority, and I just like talked to them, and I went to some meetings with them. They were like super supportive with me, and like I like just asked them for advice all the time. And then I actually like switched to pre-dental because like they were so like I don't know, they really helped me out with that decision. And I've just, so many upperclassmen have like, I've messaged them about like going abroad and like all these things, and basically everyone in your sorority is like a resource for you. A resource and a potential friend. Like I have people, like I've gone into like a huge like lecture class where I've had no friends in it, and I see someone in my sorority and I sit down with them, and then they're like my class buddy for like the rest of the semester. And then like actually I've like become really close friends with some of the people that I've done that with, and it's super nice just to like have that option. Like it just opens the doors to like so many more friends. Like I know so many people think that sororities are like kind of closing the doors, like they're only gonna be your friends, but it's actually like no one, I mean, at least at Duke, like you can be friends with anyone, but having that sorority like connection with someone makes it easier to be friends with them, if you know what I'm saying. Yeah, basically that was like my experience and just like what to expect with sorority recruitment. I know it's gonna be different at Duke, but I just think that it is like, you should be prepared for like, you know, the craziness of like bid day and the craziness of, you know, getting rejected, which everyone will get rejected at some point. Even if you're on the recruiting end, there's going to be rejection. So now I think I'll get into some tips. Okay, so my first tip is to bring lots of water and snacks. So I mentioned earlier that basically you're talking for like 8 hours straight, so you probably are going to lose your voice at some point, and just having like just drinking water between every round is like really important. I know at other schools, so Duke actually doesn't have sorority houses. We have like sorority sections where you live together in like a dorm section or an apartment section. So we don't have like, you don't go to the houses for sorority, like for sorority recruitment, you go to like different rooms on campus, which is like not a great system, but it's fine. But if you are at a school that does have sorority houses in different places, then you'd want to have a lot of water, because you're basically like running between each round. Also, bring a lot of chapstick. I don't know about you guys, but my lips get chapped like super quick. So again, talking a lot and drinking a lot of water is gonna make that worse. So another thing, probably my most important tip, is to take notes after each round. So if you're talking to 10 sororities in one day or more, you're gonna forget like most of the conversations you had. So while you're like on your way to your next round, write down like maybe some names of some girls you talked to. It's really hard to remember names, but like just like do your best. Remember the names of some girls you talked to and what you talked about with them, especially if you had like a really memorable conversation. Like if you just had a surface level conversation, maybe mention like, you know, they were nice, but didn't feel anything special about them. But if you really like, let's say like you taught, like you're a dancer and you talked to another dancer, like in my case, and it was like really like you went to the same like dance intensive like years ago, and you really like connected because of that. Definitely write that down, because that's something you want to remember. And maybe like at the night before, like before you do your rankings, just read through all your notes and like take that into account when you're doing your rankings. Don't just go like, oh, like Pi-Fi, I didn't really like them, or Kaio, like, no, I didn't think I liked them, like just, Also, don't judge a sorority right away. Like, don't be like, oh, like they're, you know, they're all really pretty, or like they're all like, you know, I don't know. Don't judge them right away. My friend was 99% sure she dropped this one sorority, and then she ended up being like getting a bid from that sorority and being in that sorority, and now like some of her best friends are in that sorority, and I'm really close to all of her friends in that sorority. And I did not expect to be in the sorority that I ended up getting a bid to, and I think that's the case for a lot of people. So really keep an open mind, because you know, these girls are trying to keep an open mind about you too, and it's just best to be like respectful. And I don't know, some girls are really disrespectful. I've talked to girls during recruitment who have literally like taken out their phone, which you're not supposed to even have your phone during recruitment, or like put their head on the table and like pretended to take a nap. And it's just like really rude, and you can actually get cut from the sorority recruitment process. So if you're gonna be rude to sororities, you might not get a bid from any sorority ever. So just, you know, don't do that. Like, treat other people how you want to be treated. You're not better than anyone just because of the sorority they're in, and they're not better than you just because of the sorority they're in. Also, your sorority like really doesn't matter. I'm still best friends with the people I met my freshman year before recruitment that all ended up in different sororities, and like no one cares what like rank you're sorority is, and like I mean I can still go to whatever like the frat parties I want, and no one is like, oh, what sorority are you in? Because like no one cares, and like it just really doesn't matter. I know so many people who are friends with people in different sororities. Like my best friend is in a different sorority, and like, you know, honestly, it just gives you more friends. Don't be scared to cry on bid day, and don't think that it's never gonna work out. Like I strongly suggest giving whatever sorority you get a bid to like a fair chance, because so I mean I cried on bid day and like no one really knew that, but so I mean I was a crier. I went to bid day, and I ended up talking to like a lot of other people who were also kind of like oh, like this sorority wasn't my first choice either, and I was like oh no way, and we like bonded over the fact that we were upset, and then like ended up being friends. So like it works out. Like I mean you're not the only one who's getting placed in a sorority that like you didn't think you wanted, but I ended up being really happy with the sorority I got, and really happy I didn't get the sorority that I actually like put as #1 in my pref. Also, don't feel like you need to be in a sorority. I feel like a lot of people think that it's like something you need to do in college, but like I love my sorority, but sometimes I feel like it's more of like a burden or obligation to like go to chapter every Sunday and do all these like extra things that like I have a lot of other involvements on campus. Like I'm like the president of like our dance team, and I have a lot of things to do with that. So sometimes I'm like, you know, I just had 3 hours of dance practice. I don't really want to go to chapter. And also dues are expensive. Like no one talks about this, but like it's like could be $600 to like $1,000 a year just to be in a sorority, and like I don't know, like if it's not for you, there's so many other ways to make friends, and you can be friends with people in sororities too and just hang out with them all the time. Like it really doesn't matter. Those are kind of all my tips. Good luck to those of you who are going through sorority recruitment. It is not that bad. You will get through it, and you'll meet a lot of great people. And if you have any questions, of course, just leave those in the comments below, and I'm happy to answer anything, or you can DM me on Instagram or something. I'm happy to answer any questions. And yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you made it this far, please give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!